How's it going, guys? James here from Butler Farms, out here on a cool November afternoon, and getting ready for Thanksgiving. I've been out here smoking a turkey, and while I'm out here at the shop, I got a lot of different little projects going on. Now, you know me, you know that in the wintertime, that doesn't mean that we stop around here. The gardens may be done. You know, we may not be actively growing food right now, but we're always looking for ways to do that. Now, I want to show you something, one little project that I've been working on. It doesn't take long, but you know, this time of year, by the time I get home from work, it gets dark so early, and I have to get up so early the next morning. I don't have a lot of time to spend up here, so while I'm off and I'm up here smoking a turkey, I got a little project going on, and I just wanted to share it with you. Now, one thing I've always loved to do, it is hunting season. Season came in this past Saturday. We've already got deer in the freezer, processed, ready to go. I took care of that earlier in the week, and we'll go back after all the family stuff this week and hunt again this weekend, and put up, hopefully, be able to take some more deer and put those up. We use those in every form that you can think of, and I do that process myself. But since I'm here, I'm not in the woods today. Where we hunt is a considerable drive from here, and so I'm working on this little project. I want to show you what's going on. Now, in the springtime and in the summer, it is extremely busy. I used to fish from as soon as hunting season went out, which back when I was much younger would have been the end of January. I used to fish all the way until bow season came in the next year into the fall. And I used to fish tournaments and do those kind of things, and I had fun with that, and it's not very conducive to family life, I can go ahead and tell you that. So I kind of aged out on that, got to the point where I just really didn't care to spend that much time and money and effort down the road. I'd rather be at home with my family. And we don't have a lot of time to fish like we want to. We need to take more time to do that. My son loves to fish, and so this coming spring, I have made the commitment that I'm going to get him out more, and he loves to go and just spend that time with him. Well, not only can you actively fish with a rod and reel or a pole or something like that, there's also other ways, and I call it lazy man's fishing. Love to do it, have been doing it all my life, and this is one way. I don't know if you can tell what this is on the end of this piece of rebar. Well, most of you have already figured out it's a Gatorade bottle, and that Gatorade bottle is painted fluorescent orange. I just get cheap fluorescent orange paint. That is the 32-ounce Gatorade bottles, and that'll just sit there just a little while longer. It doesn't take long for it to dry. Now, what in the world am I doing with a painted Gatorade bottle? Well, in the South, I don't know about it up in the North. I've never fished up in the North. I've fished tournaments all the way up into Tennessee and places like that, but I'm talking about in the North. I don't really know what they've got going on. Sorry about the lighting here. But one thing that we do in the South is called jug fishing. Well, or bottle fishing, I guess, if you want to be technical about it. But jug fishing is a way that like I said, I did this the entire time growing up with my dad. My dad is a humongous crappie fisherman, and we went every Saturday after hunting season was out. Caught a lot of crappie, but on the way into these sloughs and into these creeks where we were going to fish, I would set out jugs. Now, sometimes we'd use chicken livers, things like that, but as I got older, I learned to throw a cast net, and we could go around the mouths of these little creeks and these little sloughs that we were going into, and I could throw the cast net, and I could pick up shad, and with those shad, we would cut them and put them on the hook. And then as you're going into the creek where you're going to crappie fish or bass fish, I would simply set out 10 or 12 of these and then just leave them, and then as we're going back out to the main river to go home or go to another spot, we would pick them up, and just about every time, 5 or 6 or even more of them would have catfish on them. And in the South, we love our catfish. We love to eat catfish. Crappie, probably one of the best eating fish in the world. We eat brim, we eat bass, all of them, but guys, catfish is another source, and this is completely effortless, like I said, because if I can find a little school of shad, I can throw the cast net and get That's free bait. Bait them up on the way in. I'm not having to worry with them or work with them. And, you know, it's easy to pick them up on the way back out. Now, two other ways that we also, what I call lazy man fish. One is trot lines. I have run trot lines up until about the last 10 or 15 years. I kind of fell out of favor with them, especially trot lines are a lot of work. Trot lines can be a hassle. You're talking about a line that ours had 50 hooks a piece, and we were running 3 or 4 trot lines at a time, and you would have to go out every few hours during the night and run them and check them. It's kind of dangerous. You've got those hooks everywhere. You've got a weighted line that can easily snag you or snag your clothes, and then you're going to the bottom. So it's not something you know, that beginners really get into. I still have trot lines. I used to tie them all myself. Then I got into these snap-on pre-made trot lines and made life so much easier, but I generally don't do that. The other way is what we call in the South limb fishing, and it's the same principle as these jugs, except instead of tying it to a jug, what you're doing is, as you're going into a creek or wherever, you tie a line, a weighted, baited, hooked line to a limb hanging in the water or hanging over the water, and that serves as basically your fishing pole. Now, the problem with those is that you know, most of the time when you tie them on the line, they're there, and so you end up having to cut them. Hopefully people are taking them out of there when they come back out of there. They're not just leaving them in the water like that. But when we've used limb lines before, it would be like on a camping trip where we were going to be there for 3 or 4 days. They are a hassle sometimes because since a lot of times they are so close to the bank, they stay hung up a lot. But at the end of a camping trip, 3 or 4 days, we would go back through and cut them loose so that those hooks and those weights, lead weights obviously, aren't staying in that water. We just didn't want that to be an issue. And so what we ended up settling on was jug fishing. It's a lot of fun, especially when you are out there and you're coming back and that jug goes out of sight. So let me show you real quick how I set mine up, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. So I'm going to turn you around. I generally just stand here at the back of my boat and do it. Now you can see there's a 32 ounce. That's the size I prefer. Even a 2 or 3 pound catfish is extremely strong, and these 20 ounce jugs, you know, they're not going to hold them under forever, but as far as catching up with them, because when you were coming up to the jug with them on it, they are going to run, and obviously the more resistance they have behind them with that bigger jug, the harder it is going to be for them to run. And I have seen catfish take these under, and literally we just had to sit there and wait and wait and wait until they finally tired out and it popped back up to the top, and it could be halfway down the slough by then. Most of the time they can pull these down till, you know, it gets to about that level, but then that's about it. You can see where they're going, you can see where they're headed. All right, so what I do is I take these jugs, and as you can see, I tie it around the neck. Now, the thing I like about I used to use half-gallon milk jugs, and they just dry rotted so fast that it wasn't worth my time. These last for several years. I don't have to keep redoing them. Now, you know, there's a little lip around here where the cap goes, and you can see that I have that tied good and tight. And what that allows me to do is when they pull down, they're not going to pull it straight off the bottle. Okay, so then let me get over here where you can see. You can see I'm 6 foot tall, and that hook is sitting on the ground, and that's at my shoulder. So that one is about 5 feet tall, or 5 feet long. This one is probably going to be a little bit shorter, probably about 4 feet. I don't have a standard length because I'm of the opinion that if, you know, some days you might catch, I have some that are 3 feet long, I have some that are 6 feet long. Some days you're going to catch them up shallow, some days you're going to catch them deeper, and, you know, you just have to play around with it to see. Now, one thing that you can do with these, if you notice that they're, for instance, they're hitting the shallow ones more, what you can do is you can wrap these up, and stick a piece down in there and put the cap on good and tight and shorten it. Now back here, this is old sweet potato sack that I store them in, and you can see that I've got it wrapped up right there. Everything is inside, so you're not going to have hooks getting caught in your boat, or in you, more importantly. But everything's inside, and it stays neat like that. But what you can do is, if you notice that some of your lines are too long and they're just not working, the shorter ones are, again, you can do a couple of rounds around the top like that, and stick some in there inside before you put the cap on, and it will hold it there, believe it or not. And you have just shortened your line and allowed that to do that. So I'm going to try to set this up where you can see what I got going on here. Obviously I'm having to film all this myself. So what we've got, as I showed you, are these jugs that you know, they were going to be thrown away anyway. And you can see the good hard knot that I've got there. That is not coming off that jug. It doesn't matter how hard that catfish pulls, it's not pulling it up over that lip. You can see that I'm really getting on it. I use just basic regular twine like this, and again, I don't really pay attention to the length much. Now on down here, I wanted you to see, and this one's obviously going to try to cause me a little bit of grief. I use these egg sinkers. I've tried them weightless before, but as you know, out on the water, wind can play a little bit of havoc on you, and if it catches these without weights on them, they're going straight to the bank. You're going to be frustrated by the time the day's over, because once they get to the bank, they're probably going to hang on the bottom or on something close to the bottom. And so I use a weight. What that does is it keeps it kind of in place. It's not a cure-all now. It's still going to blow. You're still going to have to watch them. And I just run it through there and then tie a couple of overhand knots on it. That's why it's kind of flopping around like that, but it is not going anywhere. It's not going to slide either way. Then I come on down and I tie my hook. Now I wanted to show you the hooks that I use. Now I've used all kinds. It doesn't really matter. This is just what I have now. This is called a kale hook, and I hope it clears up so that you can see it. And you can see that it's kind of offset. You can see the shank of the hook here and the point going this way. That's not because I've messed that hook up. That is the way it's made. What happens is when the fish hits that and bites down on the bait and puts pressure on it, it's not trying to lever straight up like a regular hook. What it does is it rolls, and when it rolls, it catches them. And what I found with these is, over time, almost every catfish I've ever caught on these circle hooks or kale hooks are hooked in the corner of the mouth. In other words, I don't have a lot of them swallowing the hooks. I don't have a lot of them getting hooked in that hard plate in the top of their head that I can't hardly get out. This goes straight to the corner of the mouth as it turns, and then the pressure on it sets it there. So that's what I use. And you can see, again, I've used all kinds of hooks. So there's my weight, and then down to the hook. Now, it's real easy as you're coming out of the slough. As you are picking these up, you're simply going to take them and just wrap your extra around that same place where it's tied off. Get it, kind of tight. Drop your weight and drop your hook inside. That keeps it out of your clothes. That keeps it out of the carpet in your boat, and that keeps it out of you. Last thing you want is to try to see how sharp one of those hooks are when you're 30 or 40 miles from the nearest hospital. You get to do some interesting surgical procedures out on the water when you pull that. So just a lazy man's way of fishing, guys. I just I'm always looking for these little projects to do. Like one time before, I showed you building a rocket stove, stuff like that. Now those are things that I had never done before. But this is something, like I said, that I grew up doing. And I was, as I'm sitting out here smoking this turkey for Thanksgiving, and just got some time out here. It's good and quiet and cool, and you can see I've got my reading material there. My new Baker Creek seed catalog came in, and there's some magazines, some homesteading type magazines down there, and I'll get to those. I'm getting ready to sit down and take a break now after I tie that last jug that you saw up. But you know, it's just a little simple project. And if you're next time you're out fishing, now I will say this, in some states this probably isn't legal. And here I know, like with trot lines and things like that, I have to have a tag on it that has my name and my number and all those kind of things. So make sure that you are checking the laws in your state. I don't want you to do anything illegal, but it's just another way. We eat a lot of fish. We like to catch the fish that we eat, and we enjoy that as a hobby. But also, again, it's kind of like I tell you with the vegetables and everything else that I've got around here. I know exactly where those fish came from. I know how they were handled. I know how far they had to travel, and I know the person that cleaned them and the care that that person takes, and that person is me. So another way of doing it, just a lazy man's way of fishing, but it is a lot of fun. It really, truly is a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it. You'll want to do it again, especially when one of the, a 3 or 4, even 5 pound catfish takes one of those jugs and buries it out of sight, and you have to chase him down. That's a lot of fun. So guys, that's where I'm going to leave it right now. Got a lot of other winter projects coming up as the winter goes on. The big one obviously is cleaning this shop up. This is horrible. I can't even hardly get around up here, but it's like that every fall. After the summer growing season, it just run out of time during the summer in the garden, and just putting everything away and canning and going back to work every fall, and just getting busy with life and those kind of things. So one of my winter projects is always to clean up, put up, and store and get ready for the next spring. But just wanted to show you one of the things I'm working on. I hope you enjoy it. Guys, we're still growing, and I can't tell you how blessed we are. It is Thanksgiving, so I'm going to tell you how thankful I am for those of you out there that are watching. Just continue to like, share, and subscribe. Continue to tell others about our channel. I'm going to continue to try to get out some content. As you know, it's a little bit harder this time of year, simply because with the type of channel this is, there's not a lot going on unless I'm doing these special projects as far as homesteading and gardening and those kind of things. But these projects are important because they lead to more food self-sufficiency, as in putting meat in the freezer with these fish. So, I find them valuable, and I'll bring them to you every chance I get. But I'm going to leave it right there. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate you more than you know. Till next time, this is James from Butler Farms. God bless.